Hi, and very welcome to my YouTube channel, Wild Thing Technologies, and this is where I'll be answering a very pending question, and that is how to use an analog mixer with Radiodj. Radiodj software, of course, being a program you can use to broadcast an online radio station, to do podcasting, to use on an FM or AM radio station, just as you please. And it's just one of those free and exciting softwares that you can use. I'm not going to be chatting about how to set up Radiodj, as there's enough videos about that already in general, but I'll be focusing predominantly on how to use Radiodj with an analog mixer. So let's see, what do we need to get started in doing this? Well, first of all, you need an analog mixer. An analog mixer is a mixer that does not have a USB connection that goes into your PC, but you would use sound cards, USB sound cards, etc. to be able to do that. So an analog mixer is what we will be chatting about today, not a USB digital mixer. What you will need further, along with the digital mixer, is different sound cards, and you get these in various forms. You can either have internal or external USB type sound cards, and the one I'm using is this little 7.1 channel sound USB sound card. And you'll see there's a yellow and a green port, and the green port is the one that we'll be using to connect the sound going into the mixer, and we'll chat about that more in a little while. Secondly, you would need a cable, obviously, to be able to do that, but we'll chat about the cable just now. I also use a little USB sound card. It's also a little mixer as well from a local company. It's called a Dixon mixer. It's a 2-channel mixer, and we will only use the line input as well as the USB output of this little mixer stroke sound card in order to connect the sound coming from the main analog mixer into the system, and this system will receive its sound via this little Dixon mixer, and we'll chat about that a little more just now as well. But make a mental note, 2 sound cards that you need so far. To be able to connect the small USB sound card that I showed you earlier, you would need a 3.5mm jack cable that leads into 2 big 6.35mm mono jacks in order to be able to connect that to the inputs of the mixer, the stereo inputs of the analog mixer. Alright, so that is the first cable that you'll need, and you'll need 2 of these, and we'll chat about that more as well now. Secondly, the cable that you would need to connect from the mixer, the main output of the mixer, the specific mixer I have, the output is a 6.35mm mono left and right channel output, and that then goes with an RCA into my little Dixon mixer, into the line input. So all the sound that's being put out by the main output of the analog mixer goes into the small USB mixer, and that then goes into the system. Alright, so let's talk about connecting some more. Alright, so you'll see again the little USB mixer. You'll connect the 3.5mm jack on the green output, and that then goes into your stereo line input of the analog mixer. You'll see there's 2 volume buttons on it. You can set it as loud as you want according to taste. That's settings you can play with a little bit later, but at the end of the day, that is what you're going to need. You're not going to use the little yellow microphone input on that. You'll only use the output on the green output port. And again, on this little small USB sound card, you will use this cable, which is the 3.5mm jack to the 6.35mm mono jack outputs, and you get these in various lengths, so I would recommend that you just get a short one if you're only going to use it in your studio. They come in about 1.5 meter lengths, 1 meter length, etc. Alright, next up, just to finalize the settings on the little sound card that you'll use as well. It's a USB sound card, so obviously you'll connect that to a USB port of your PC, just as you would use the small USB sound card to connect that to your PC. This one you would connect with a cable. It has to be in the on position, and you'll only use the line in inputs of that little mixer, the RCA inputs. All the others you'll leave alone, and you'll see there's 3 buttons. And all those buttons you can just leave in the upright position. So if you click it in, it's down, just leave it in the up position. And the equalizer settings you can all leave in the mid-range. You will note that there are a channel 1 slider, sliders. You just leave that in the middle. You can downturn the gain knob completely, as well as the channel 1 dial. You can just dial down completely as well. The line USB, which is the second dial on the mixer, you can take that sort of to the midway through, sort of just take it upright, and then, as I said as well, just leave the sliders for the equalizer in the middle position. The monitors you can turn down completely, and then the main output, the large knob, you can just turn all the way around to its max volume. All right, then just to recap again, this is the cable that you'll use from your main outputs on your analog mixer. You can also, if it only has XLR outputs, you can get an XLR to RCA converter cable, and you can use that. But in my case, the mixer I'm using has a dual mono large jack output that connects to the RCA inputs on the line in of the small little USB mixer audio input on the line in channels. All right, let's move on to Radiodj. I assume you've already loaded it, it's set up and it's working, and you can load yourself some music on there as well as some instants, which are little ads or instances you just play over the music. And then you can go and select the options button at the bottom of the screen, and go and select your sound cards option. That'll give you the various types of output that Radiodj offers, the main output, sweepers, carts, etc. You can choose the output device that you want to send this to. In other words, the what your PC will pick up as your output device, which you have pre-selected on your PC as well. And then you can allocate each one of those to the same USB sound card, or you can just go and select the main one, allocate that, leave the rest the same. The main one we're focusing on today is the sound cards, that you can physically select those USB outputs that you have connected to, or your USB sound cards that you've connected to your PC, or you could use your internal speaker. You plug in the second lead I was talking about earlier, the 3.5 jack to the 6.35 millimeter. The 6.35 millimeter mono jacks, and then you can play your instance through that. And let's go and look for a song quickly, just to give you some idea what the sound sounds like, and then I'm going to play instant over that as well. And hear this.
Luister FM 90.6, die beste.
Yeah, you can play around personal preference with how long you want the songs to fade in, fade out, and how much it should dip down when you play instant over it. My level is set at 3, and I think that's the most suitable one. And that is basically what you need to do on Radiodj itself. If you want to, as I said, I set up my instance to play over a different sound card, and I use my PC's internal sound card. So I'm just going to open up a little YouTube video, and I'm going to play the sound from the YouTube video through that specific output that goes into the mixer. Right, that's just to give you an idea what that sounds like, and that runs into a second channel of the mixer. All right, so basically your mixer setup, I would say you could just go and look at your mic. Obviously, we'll go into mic 1 or mic 2, depends how many mics you have. I, in my instance, just use one microphone. And then I have my Radiodj coming out of one of the USB sound cards. And it goes, well, actually that little one I showed you, that 7.1 channel, and it goes into the stereo input 1, or the first one, which is my line 3 and 4. Line in, so it goes with that little 3.5 millimeter jack to the 6.35 millimeter mono jacks into the mixer, into the left and right inputs on channel 3 and 4. And I then use my onboard PC output as another input into my mixer to listen to WhatsApp messages that I need to play over the air, perhaps, or Telegram messages, or maybe something I need to play that's on another file of the PC that's not physically in Radiodj, and I have that plugged into channel 5 and 6, also with a 3.5mm jack which is split into the 6.35mm mono jacks, which then obviously, as I said, goes into channel 5 and 6 left and right in my analog mixer. And obviously you can set your gains as high as you want. You can set your volumes, but also notice that it shouldn't clip. So always watch your line level meter when setting up to make sure that your mixer doesn't clip. I leave all my frequencies, the sort of like equalizer frequencies, I leave in the middle, in the mid-range position. So my high, mid, and bass are all straight up at 50%. Obviously, pan, which is your stereo left and right, that is smack bang in the middle. If you see maybe there's a bit of your one channel or your one side is just going a little bit higher than the other one on your peak meter, you can just adjust it with your pan just to get that right balance. All right, so there's a little bit more to this as well. If you want to get a little bit more fancy, there's some more videos on its way where I'll explain to you how to use Butt Broadcaster as well as a Breakaway, which helps you to level out your sound coming into the mixer and which is then going out through the compressor, which will be broadcasted, because you'll find some of the songs that you'll be playing are not all the same quality, and therefore you'll have to continuously be playing with a fader up and down to get the mix level right. But when you use Breakaway, it puts it out at the exact same volume every time. Doesn't matter what the volume of the song coming in is, going out, it'll be the same. But watch out for that a bit later when I'll be doing a video on that. Well, I hope that helps a little bit, and yeah, trust me, it can be done. It is done, and I'm using it right now. Have a great day, and I'll chat to you again soon.